Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who do not know, my name is Peyton. This is my little corner of the internet, and today we have our first sit-down video that we've had in a minute. And it is going to be what I wish I would have known before starting dental school. For those of you who don't, oh my god, I can't talk today. For those of you who do not know, I start my second year of dental school in about 48 hours. Classes start on Monday, but it's Wednesday, and on Friday we have our first assembly where I will be officially a D2. So before that, I wanted to make a little video that talks about what I wish I would have known before starting. So I have 5 tips like I used to do back in undergrad when I was giving my tips and tricks videos, and we're going to go through them. We're going to talk about what I would have liked to know before starting. Sorry, I'm adjusting my notes so they don't go away. And we're going to talk about how I would approach them if I were starting D2 with D1 year with the knowledge I have now. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, my number one tip and trick, and it's the hardest one to accept, is you will experience failures. Probably more than once. A lot of us that are going into dental school, including myself, have limited experiences with failures, some more than others. And that makes it really hard when you get to dental school and you have basically the weight of the world, it feels, on your shoulders, and you're bound to mess up multiple times, over and over again. You'll have quizzes that you see scores that you didn't think were possible to get. Like, I'm talking like 3 out of 10s, and like you'll be like, no, that's impossible. The lowest I've gotten is maybe like a 6 out of 10. I don't know. Everyone comes from different situations, but I know for me, I'm a really big perfectionist, and understanding that getting a good score in dental school does not necessarily have to mean getting a perfect score in dental school, because that's really hard, and for me personally, just not a sustainable goal, because I would have to give up a lot of my free time. Number 2 is one I have talked about so many times. Studying is not your whole life. It's hard because obviously all of us that are in dental school or professional school, a lot of these go for professional or dental school or vet school, law school, things like that. There's a couple that are more specific to dental, but basically we've spent so many hours trying to get to where we are that it seems like it has to be our whole life. But I've noticed that personally I do better when I take care of myself, I take care of my social life, I take care of my relationships that are of value to me, and when I have a healthy balance between all of them is when I typically tend to maybe not do as great as I could. I could maybe theoretically do 5 or 6, 7 points higher on a quiz or an exam, but at the sacrifice of my mental well-being and my relationships with my friends and family and my fiance. And that's just not something that I have been willing to give up, you know? Number 3 is very dental specific. Your first restoration is gonna look like shit. I don't mean to cuss, but it's true, and that's okay. Truly, like, you are learning not only all of this mental capacity, but you're also learning so much when it comes to the physical act of doing dentistry. Because sure, all these classes are important, but at the end of the day, I cannot talk today. At the end of the day, you're going to be doing these procedures, and all the physical stuff you're learning is going to supplement those physical procedures. But that being said, learning a new skill is so hard. And I remember so many times I would go to my professor, Dr. Robito, and I'd be like, I don't like it. It looks so bad. I'm not happy with it. And she would look at me and say, it is supposed to look bad. Like, you're not supposed to be the best that you're going to be. If you do your best restoration in dental school, you are in the wrong career, because you are supposed to continue to get better, continue to evolve, and you have to put in the time and energy to do that. So when you are sitting in class on the first day and you're trying to drill a tooth and you're like, oh my god, I would have drilled into the pulp by now, we would have had to pull this tooth. That's not okay when you graduate. When you graduate, you'll know better. But as a first-year dental student in your first semester, you're not supposed to be good. You're supposed to be learning. And that is okay. It took me so long to realize that you're not supposed to be perfect straight off the gate. That's just not realistic. So definitely give yourself grace. Okay, number 4 is, it's kind of applicable to your first year. Me personally, I think it applied a lot to me because I have a lot of experience in the dental field. But number 4 is, some specialties may not be for you, but that doesn't mean that you can ignore them, and it doesn't mean that you don't have to respect them and learn to admire them. For me, I'm still working on this. Endodontics, for those of you who don't know, is dentists who specialize. There's probably a better term that I could get, like a definition I could give, but they're the ones that do a lot of root canals, and they focus on like your roots and everything like that. So when your general dentist doesn't want to do a root canal, that you get sent to an endodontist. I had one experience with a root canal as an assistant, and it was a really bad situation where I was the assistant on hand and I got thrown in, and it's a very complicated procedure, and I walked out and I was like, never. I will never be an endodontics person. I will never, you couldn't pay me to do that. I'm going to refer every single, I'll learn how to do it in dental school, but then I'm referring every single root canal out because I don't want to deal with it. And I think that it's really important that when you decide you're not going to do a specialty, it's not because of necessarily like, oh, I could never do that, I can't believe anyone would want to focus on that. That's definitely not the goal that you should go for. It's more like, wow, I am so impressed that you have such a skill and talent for that. I really admire that, and I love that I have you as a resource for cases that I maybe don't excel in as well. And I think that's a really big thing that it took me a while to learn, that like, you know, root canals might not be my thing, but that doesn't mean that I can, you know, totally like write them off, you know? 5th and final tip is something that I wish I could have had beaten into my head before I started. But it's one of those things that you kind of just have to learn on your own, and I'm still learning. I've been told this a million times by my family and friends and Charles, but number 5 is, you are capable of finishing everything you need to do. You have enough time. It's just about learning to prioritize and learning how to give yourself grace. Something that both Charles and I struggle with a lot, and it's really easy to tell someone else this, is you've always gotten everything done that you need to. And granted, I want to asterisk that and say, like, you know, there's obviously situations, but when it comes to things that need to get done, you're gonna be able to do them. Granted, does that mean that maybe some of the little deadlines you set for yourself get pushed back? Like maybe you have to have a reading done by Friday and you were hoping to get it done by Wednesday. Okay, maybe that had to get pushed back to Thursday, but that doesn't mean that you can't get it done. It's just you have to be realistic with yourself, be graceful with yourself, and be disciplined with yourself. There's a certain extent where you have to give yourself grace, but also you have to hold yourself accountable. And that's a really, really hard thing to do because you're not always motivated, but you have to have discipline. There are so many nights where I'm not motivated to study, but you have to have the discipline to push yourself to do it. But if you have a realistic goal, realistic study plan, and you're disciplined while also not burning yourself out, that's where the realistic comes into play. Like that's key factor to this. You can't be like, oh, I'm gonna study for this entire exam in one night. There is a snake. Oh my God. What the hell? I just about peed my pants. Oh my God, I was on a roll too. There's this little tiny, it's so small, but there's this little tiny garden snake that lives under our house, and for some reason it was chilling on the windowsill just staring at me. Oh my God. Oh my God. I wish I was wearing my Apple Watch. I could tell you how quick my heart rate is, but it's like, It's going. Oh my god. Okay, what I was saying is being realistic is really, really important when it comes to this, because if you think that you can cram for an exam in one night, that's not setting yourself up for success, and that's not realistic. So it's about being real about your capabilities and what you are able to accomplish in a set amount of time. And the key is not burning yourself out in the process. What you can accomplish within reason, in a healthy and manageable and, what's the word? Maintainable way. Because sure, there are days where you just have to power through and get it done, but at the end of the day, the way that you're going to succeed the most is if you have a maintainable expectation for yourself that's not going to leave you burnt out and dying out before the end of the semester, if that makes sense. So after that eventful end to this video, I am going to leave that there. My heart is still like racing. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you have any other questions about dental school, or if you are starting dental school and you're like, hey, this is what I want to know going into dental school. Please comment them down below. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. And be sure to stick around because, like I said, I'm literally turning around and filming my prep for a new semester video today. So it is the beginning of D2 year, and it's so exciting and so terrifying at the same time. Okay, love you guys. Talk to you later. Bye. No, not until I get